Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guest and I play a bit of movie roulette and randomly select something from my obscenely large, ridiculous, very diverse movie watch list that could be basically anything, including a film that just screams, "I'm from the aughts." And joining me for this episode is fellow crew member, it is Luke.
Do you believe in ghost Shane?
I don't, well, my thoughts on that are if they exist, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not messing with them.
Because they
So
believe in you.
if they believe in me and I can help them, sure, why not?
Yes.
Um, just don't, just don't have me help in the way that it happens here in Gothika, because
Mm-hmm.
that is the film that we are talking about. And this film is from director Matthew Kasovitz, who directed Lehen and like really famous, very visceral, grounded French film. And apparently well, I know his French films are pretty highly regarded. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about his American made films, but this is indeed starring Halle Berry, Penelope Cruz, Robert Downey Jr., Charles S. Dutton, and John Carroll Lynch, and King Theoden himself, Bernard Hill.
Yes.
Um, but a little bit of background here. This was released November 21st, 2003, 2 days after my 12th birthday. Just giving some context, 12-year-old Shane 100% wanted to watch this. This runtime was 98 minutes, had a budget of $40 million, and this movie made $141 million.
It was a hit, yeah.
Yep. This is from the same studio that brought us 13 Ghosts and Ghost Ship,
Classics.
which this aggressively feels like that era of aughts horror movies. Because the funny thing
Ghosts.
is, I have seen 13 Ghosts on TV in pieces a lot. So not, and it's in full unadulterated version of itself. I would love to rewatch that in its entirety someday. But what I distinctly remember was it being extremely demented gore wise and also a bunch of boobs,
I
which,
that's the that
teenage Shane
yes,
was
yes.
interested in checking out. Because,
That's the one I haven't seen. Have you seen Ghost Ship?
I've seen the opening scene of Ghost Ship.
Because that's the one I have, and that opening scene, I was like, holy fuck. Like that was to the
eh,
12-year-old me was told that this is the most scariest shit that he's ever seen. Yes.
And then it all went downhill from there.
Yes.
But Halle Berry took the role because her mother worked in a psychiatric hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Robert Downey Jr. accidentally broke Halle Berry's arm.
And they stopped the production for 8 weeks apparently.
Yep.
And I'm like, how?
I think I
Imagine
know the
being at
scene too.
work. Yeah, imagine being at work, right? And like suddenly you break your coworker's arm, and you're like, what do you do after? Like he must have been so fucking apologetic. Like imagine, like cannot.
And can you imagine? Because this was him trying to get back on straight.
Yes, yes. And she is the big star. She just off screen, right? You just heard, like you literally broke her arm of like the biggest movie star on the planet, like effectively like 2003. Yeah.
Yeah, it still took a little time.
Mm-hmm.
His Kiss Bang Bang came after this, and of course Iron Man 5 years later.
Yep.
But what this film is about,
Mm-hmm.
a psychiatrist awakens as a patient in a mental institution with no memory of the murder she's accused of committing. She, as she tries to regain her memory, a vengeful spirit manipulates her. But Luke, what are your general thoughts on Gothika?
So this is my second viewing. The first one was like almost 20 years ago. So back then I loved it because that was one of the first scary movies I've ever watched. And obviously Halle Berry. Like like I've had a crush on her ever since I was a child. Ever since I've seen her in a Flintstones movie, Sharon Stone. And I'm like,
Yep.
ooh damn, this lady. And yeah, so rewatching it now, it's gotten slightly down. on my in my rating. But look, it's cheesy. It's early 2000s as fuck. It's so early.
This
It's
is so aggressively aughts. It's not.
yes.
It's not.
Uh, uh,
It's not even
it,
funny.
it's I was just gonna mention the word aggressively because this is like if you ask me, hey, show somebody who was just born, like or 5 years old, a very aggressive movie from late or from early 2000s, sorry. Yeah, this would be one of them because like the quick editing, the quick, the hint of nudity from, they never show us Haley's berries, Haley's berries, but like they always hint at them. Like I'm like, okay, of course. Like, like this, the plot twists, the jump scares, everything is screams is like, hey, early 2000s were a wild time for filmmaking, okay? But there's something oddly, I don't know if satisfying is the word, but there's oddly something like familiar with that where I still had a fun with this movie, even though is it technically the best of movies? 100% not. But tell me, Shane, what do you think about this as a first time watch for you?
I'll rip the band-aid off. I did not like this movie.
Fair.
And um there's some really bad elements of this movie too.
Yes.
Right off the bat, as I was sitting watching this with Jess,
Hmm.
the amount of times we're like, what? From just the first half of this movie when she's stuck in uh this psychiatric ward, which this was not a good sign. That related movie that came up was The Ward, as in John Carpenter's worst movie.
Hmm.
And his last movie is like the idiocy of whoever wrote this movie knows nothing about this topic,
Hmm.
because there are so many incredibly head scratching moments in this movie that make absolutely no sense. Like, why are all of these people in a psychiatric ward who have violent tendencies all thrown into one enclosed shower place where they're all just showering there together? And you're just like, because it would look really cool in a scene like this. I feel like that was the motivation for so much of the first half of this movie. It would be really cool if it were like this and not like this. Makes absolutely no sense.
You mean to tell me the screenwriter behind Snakes on a Plane doesn't know what he's doing? Shane, really? Sebastian Gutierrez of Snakes on a Plane fame. Do you like I'm shocked.
It's one of those things where I'm like, if you go into this movie
Hmm.
looking for logic, this is gonna burn you like it burned me.
Yeah, and
Which
Halle Berry in the movie.
puns on purpose, because
Yes.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Hmm.
Like, there's so much of this movie that makes absolutely no sense. So,
Yep. Yep.
screenwriting wise, this is not good.
Nope.
Vibes wise, if you're into that early aughts, like
Hmm.
aggressive, big edit,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just like you expect new metal to start playing at any given moment kind of vibe, that's this movie. And this is the same, this studio had a vibe. And I'll give that studio plenty of credit for the vibe,
Hmm.
because knew the vibe. There's the weird blue tintiness, like you see it
Yep.
on like the poster and stuff. Like, it's that vibe.
Yep.
Is it aesthetically pleasing in the year 2026?
Hmm.
No, but there's a little bit of nostalgia there. Honestly, because growing up in the aughts, I'm just like, this brought me back. Even just turning this movie on, I'm like, damn, I remember these trailers. I remember this movie coming out, but 12-year
Yep.
old Shane was not.
Didn't you not
And
expect like Evanescence to play in a movie at some point? Like Evanescence, like Bring Me Back, Bring Me Life, or like My
it could have been
Immortal to
the
start
well,
playing.
like it's like I was half expecting Evanescence or Disturbed to start
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
some point watching this movie. The cast is insane. Like, this is
Hmm.
a ridiculously talented cast, and I'll say I think Penelope Cruz really shines in this.
Yeah.
In her moments, Halle Berry, I think, is doing her best with this ludicrous script that she's given. Robert Downey Jr. is playing a very specific character that I feel like few actors could pull off, being that smarmy and sarcastic, and
Hmm.
also very sexually um
Lasting over,
inappropriate.
lasting over Halle Berry. Yeah, yep, yeah, yeah.
Which, like, that moment where she's just straight up, did we have an affair? No. Did we want to have an affair? Yes. I'm like, what? What?
But Shane, this is the movie that has the subtlety of, we don't know nothing about her. The movie starts with her walking to the director's office, and then the director starts to creepily touch her face, and then they kiss. And only after
After we
that,
find out that they're married, thank
yes,
God.
only after you're, oh, they are married. So it's not creepy at all. So this is the all subtlety of this movie in that one scene.
Are there no ethical regulations? No. The
No,
answer is no.
no, of course.
There's no rules here. And like, and as we get into like the secrets of the film, like there's raping of inmates. Like, obviously this is not a well-run place, and
Mm-mm,
like I began to immediately lose interest in this movie the second they left the psychiatric ward,
mm-hmm,
because this film felt like this was a claustrophobic, and I'll give it credit for that. It felt like this is one of those claustrophobic kind of thrillers. And the
mm-hmm.
second they left, I'm like, okay, the illusion here is broken.
Yeah.
But then, but then, I will give some credit to this movie. I'm not giving this like a 1 star or anything like
Mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's some crazy twists and turns in this movie. I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah.
how this all comes together. So I'll give the film credit for having some crazy, interesting twists
Mm-hmm,
that do add layers and context to the characters as it goes on.
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's well executed. I'm not giving the film that credit, but
No.
I will say there's some interesting ideas here.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and I do love me some veteran character actors. Like, I know, like Charles S. Dutton, I know from A Time to Kill,
mm-hmm.
where he is like, I'm pretty sure he's the sheriff in that film from Joel Schumacher, another director who knows no subtlety. Uh, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The director of Batman and Robin, and I love John Carroll Lynch,
Yes.
and we spoil things here. So if you don't want to know what this movie's really about, stop listening for now and go watch the movie. So when we find out that this whole entire time that she has been possessed by the dead daughter of the guy who runs this place, Bernard Hill, who was murdered by her own husband that she is accused of murdering, which I guess technically she did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not
She
technically,
did,
she
but she was
yeah, she was
possessed.
possessed.
She
Yes.
was possessed,
So
but
your honor,
literally,
that's legally she was possessed, your honor. So like case dismissed.
is that, I guess, like, that has to be, you're gonna plead temporary insanity, right? Like, you were literally not in control of yourself.
But if you plead insanity, can you walk on a street like at the end of a movie as freely as Halle Berry did?
Well, I
Probably
guess
not.
if you prove that you were possessed, yes. Because, like, are you still possessed? No. Then are you gonna do this again? No. So if I was a reasonable judge in this universe where nothing is reasonable, that makes sense to me.
But the ghost believed in her, Shane, okay? So like, we
Oh,
cannot
Luke, we
forget.
will get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Because if this movie knew how to, like the very end of this movie, we'll get to in a minute.
Yes.
But see, the thing is, like, the possession part, the crazy serial killer reveal that her husband was a serial killer, and uh, being helped by his best friend, which I saw that coming a mile away the second I remembered he's like, he was my best friend. I'm like, that guy. John Carroll Lynch was acting way too intense and weird for that not to happen. And I'll
Hmm.
give it a lot of credit. He went hard in that final sequence as crazed killer guy. I'm just like, I do appreciate a good crazed killer acting moment.
Mm-hmm.
until you got lit on fire, and that fire looked so bad.
Early 2000 CGI, baby.
Yep.
Yes.
Um, Luke, did you immediately think it was Robert Downey Jr. at the start? Because I did, because he was suspicious AF.
I couldn't remember. Like I don't I couldn't remember the twist. I knew there was a twist. I
Mhm.
didn't remember there was, her husband wasn't on it. I didn't remember that part. And I think I was like, no, that's too obvious. I don't think that's him. And I was like, and the moment when the sheriff is like behaving the way he behaves, and then when he sits down in a cell with, I was like,
That
oh,
was so
duh,
weird.
it's him.
And
Yes.
he was like coyly having that conversation about like, but if they did,
Yeah, you're a psychologist. Like, tell me, like you tell me, right? And I'm like,
well, that moment,
"Mm,
and I loved the montage intercut of him asking these weird questions, and so early on, Robert Downey Jr. sits in front of a computer and starts
yes.
looking up stuff, and I'm like, ah. There's some comforting elements of just how aggressively early aughts this is. Like, going on to like a box computer,
Hmm.
looking up stuff on the early internet and databases. Like that. I'm
I
just like,
I think this is a perfect movie for when you have a buddies over and you have a marathon of not bad. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a great
I
movie.
think it's a bad movie, but
Okay,
I
fair,
understand.
fair. But I think, like, because there's like several movie marathons you can put on, and you can watch purposefully bad movies. And I'm talking like Human Centipede. I did that. No, not recommended. I like, I think there is a certain marathon of movies where you can put on, hey, let's do an all-nighter and let's watch cheesy 2000 horror movies, but not ultimately, not like, not The Fog. The Fog from 2005, that's a bad, not funny movie. I don't know if you've watched this. That's a don't. That's a bad 2000s bad movie. Not cheesy, not fun, no Halle Berry inside. Denied. No.
No Oscar winners in that movie.
Not
This
two Oscar
has
winners. Yes.
multiple Oscar winners.
Yeah, it's funny to think that Halle Berry was the only one at the time of shooting that had an Oscar. Now Penelope Cruz and Robert Downey Jr. obviously.
Yeah.
To your point with Penelope Cruz, 100%. Like I think with the amount of 5 minutes of screen time she has in that movie, she does the best she can. And like Penelope Cruz is another one I still think is a top five of actresses we have right now. Like capable, great, always puts on a great performance, but because of her accent and because of her looks is often overlooked. Because oh, she's the pretty accent
I
lady. It's
will
fine.
never overlook her.
No, Penelope.
But
Yeah, same, same.
I see she's in The Bride,
Oh yes, as if I
which
needed one more reason to look forward to that movie.
um because I just looked because I know she was in Ferrari, which got a decent amount of buzz for that, honestly, too. I think she's been more in Spanish films, which God, she killed it in Parallel Mothers and Official
Yes.
Competition. So like she's still doing great work, but no, she shines in this movie in her
Hmm.
brief moments.
Yes.
And like there's a certain level of like crazed acting that John Carroll Lynch does. He's one of my favorite character actors. He showed up in A Sorry Baby for like
Hmm.
5 minutes and
Hmm.
like was incredible. He's
Hmm.
that reliable of an actor, even with the most ridiculous, like when he took his shirt off and he had all those ridiculous tattoos. This is
Yep.
ridiculous.
Yep.
But
Yep.
no, this movie is prime. You have an early aughts horror movie marathon and just watch the cheesiest, most ridiculous horror movies. Gothika has to be there.
Yes. And again, it's like in depending on, like, we obviously are on different side of the spectrum. I
Yeah.
still think, as a person who has watched many awful 2000 horror movies, trust me, this is the easily top of that. I don't think that even belongs in the same conversation as something as awful as The Fog. 100. No, if you ever watch it, I think you'll be like, yeah, you're right, because that movie is straight up garbage. But, and I don't like to talk about movies like that, but it is. No, but also another thing is, I would like to point out, I see what could have been. And I know I don't rate a
Yes.
movie on that, but like as you said, every scene or most of the scenes that are claustrophobic in that asylum, I could see somebody like Mike Flanagan, like somebody who understands horror, remaking it, but setting it all in asylum and making it claustrophobic, making it nice, making it great.
It's an interesting point, Luke, because I feel like this film's missing a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like somebody like Mike Flanagan could find that.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, this ghost was like raped and murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like I should have felt that more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, should have felt that pain more. And this movie plays it all more off as like crazy twists and stuff like that. And I feel like somebody, well, and Cassavetes has made really good movies too. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like like they wanted a very specific vibe for this movie. This studio vibed like very specifically
Yes.
in
And
a
I had
very
to
specific.
check. Oh, sorry, I want to go.
No, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say I had to check because another name came to my mind who would potentially could remake it and I think uplift it. And this might be our choice, but Fede Alvarez behind Don't Breathe and Alien Romulus of fame,
Yeah.
especially if you have watched Don't Breathe. And I know that's quite a
Oh,
divisive
and
movie
he did
because
Evil
of
Dead, right?
also yeah
The
the
remake.
remake, yes. But I'm specifically like, because we're talking about the claustrophobic, the first
Yes.
Don't Breathe. Yes, there are some scenes that are like they will stick with you, the turkey baster.
Yeah.
But that's
You can
the
see that too.
extra. That's the extra bit that something that sticks with you. This movie needs, right? And I think if you can make it like Don't Breathe, where like 90% of this movie would have been, hey, we are in this one fucking asylum. There is no escape and I feel like, you can have something decent on your hands. I still think this is decent enough on its own because of this cheesy 2000s blue tint Halle Berry of it all.
So,
Like,
Luke, to quote the glass onion,
mhm,
I feel like
yeah.
it's so dumb. And you're like, it's so dumb that it's really, and like you're having this fun. I'm like, no, it's
It's just,
dumb. I feel like that's the two wavelengths we're on right now. I'm not saying you're saying this is
mhm,
amazing. I'm not saying that I think
no,
this is straight trash. But no, I feel like there's a bit of a divide between like where our
yes.
line between this is just bad
Hmm.
and this is like still a lot of fun. I will
Hmm.
give it credit, especially as she begins like her escape and stuff. If the screenplay wasn't distracting me by being so stupid, I feel like a lot of the scenes in the asylum were had atmosphere, they were intense. When she's trying to escape, I think there's some really interesting visuals and tension and stuff like that.
Like where she hides in the pool. Like there was a
Yes.
great moment. Like obviously
Yeah.
an obvious jump scare incoming. Like but you could see that from a mile away. But like,
Yep.
the bubbles just showing up and then just like and
Which
yeah.
and if the screenplay wasn't so dumb and
Yep.
those guards weren't so dumb,
Yep, 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 yep.
like ooh, like
Mm-hmm.
not even looking in the pool, really.
No,
It
no.
was like, and they had such a forced tone, like, let's go do this now. Like looking out, I'm like,
Yep,
God.
yep.
But, but, but the sequel baiting of the
Oh,
end of this movie.
yes.
This was one of those moments where I thought this was hilarious. Like how sequel baity this is. Like, did you see The Housemaid
Oh,
that
yeah,
just came out?
yeah, yes, yes. And I'm all in on that schlock too.
Well, I did legitimate. Well, I wish that movie it had camp in it. I wish it was all camp. I think that was a missed opportunity to make it completely campy, but they have a very similar ending
Very
where like
similar, yes.
where just this movie,
Hmm.
Halle Berry's walking down the street.
Hmm.
There is a random child standing in the street about to get hit by a bus.
Hmm.
And she's like, no. And then the bus goes right through the child because, of course, the child's a ghost.
Dun dun dun. And then we see the
And
poster.
then the
Yes.
pan over the that poster of missing child. And I'm just like, damn. And I'm like, Halle Berry is now the ghost. Like, this is like,
She became the Ghost Whisperer before Ghost Whisperer was a TV show with Jennifer Love Hewitt. Yes.
yeah. Was Ghost Whisperer a spin-off of Gothika? We will never know. Um,
Also, was Gothika the early start of Grey's Anatomy because she is also Dr. Grey. I spoke my piece.
looking up and down at the IMDb, realizing that her last name was indeed Gray, and I'm
Yes.
like, wait a
But her name is like almost the same, like because I had to
minute,
Google. I had
Miranda
to
Gray.
yeah, and she and it's yeah Miranda and she is Meredith in a show, right? I don't watch the show, but I had to actually stop and I was like, yeah, oh, it's Meredith. I was like, oh
But more
shit, that
importantly, is Gothica a ripoff of The Sixth Sense? Like, did
100%. Yes, yes.
I'm like, I just like this is exactly like she becomes Haley Joel Osment's character. She just goes around helping ghosts.
Like this is the Hollywood in a nutshell. Hey, this movie in '99 did bonkers for us. Hey, let's make a spin on it. Who's hot right now? Like figuratively and literally. Halle Berry? Yes, Oscar winner. Great. Let's put her in a white T-shirt. Let make her run. Let make her show her almost naked several times, but not. Yes, 140 million easy, and it worked.
It was just such a sequel baity ending, and I'm shocked. Wait, actually, to be fair, I don't know if this got like a straight to like video sequel or anything like that. It's $140 million. How did this not get a sequel? This studio must have went under, and never
It
got
did.
around to.
It did, I think. I don't think there's a. I'm looking it up now. There's no direct sequel, not even a direct to DVD. So I think because the studio of they had quite a few bombs. So I think the what was it like Dark something Studios. Like it's obviously was owned by the major studios, but there was like something like Dark at the beginning.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, I haven't seen that in ages. And I was like, yeah, they went under. But so this was their only hit apparently. This was their only biggest hit.
I'm slightly surprised by that because I would have figured like 13 Ghosts and like everybody was eating stuff like that up at the time. I guess not.
I think they both or all three of these movies, like I don't know if Gothika, but like 13 Ghosts still haven't seen, but I know of it. And a Ghost Ship, oh, I've seen, but it's been a while. They those two movies developed like this kind of like cult following. But what
That's
happens,
fair.
what happened, like why? Because they usually bomb in a cinema, and only later people discover, hey, this is actually kind of fun. So like you never Avengers Endgame will never develop cult following because they have the fan following. They have the
Well,
money.
they already have a cult,
Yeah, they have the money
MCU
behind them.
fans,
Yes.
and but that cult's toxic because all the cult members hate the cult. Um, at this point,
They cannot actually decide how bad the cult actually is or what is the peaks and valleys of that cult. Yeah.
wild. But I have nothing else to say about this movie. But this was a wild ride. This is probably the most fun episode of the Wasteland watch list since my buddy Joe and I talked about what was that werewolf movie that was also really bad that we wound up talking about from around this era.
Is it
See,
actually just Werewolf from 2010?
no, or no, what was it? I'm looking it up now. This was pretty early on in me doing this show.
Okay.
It was first.
Thirst. Wait, that's not a South Korean one, is it? No, that's about
No,
vampires.
trust me, this movie was a completely misguided shit show of like aughts early 2010s movie that I think Wes Craven was supposed to be involved with or some shenanigans and it just turned into a hot mess.
Say less.
Sometimes sometimes a hot mess is just as much fun or even more fun to talk about than an actual good movie. And
Hmm.
sometimes you take the wrong lesson from that and try to make a Broadway show like the producers. But it's like, hey Luke, but what if we made a really bad movie
Yes, correct.
and committed tax fraud based off of it?
But the movie makes money.
But then the movie makes money.
Hmm.
But Luke, thank you so much for coming on as always to talk movies with me.
Anytime. And remember, Shane, the ghosts still believe in you, in you, even though you don't. Just remember that.
I believe in the ghosts. I don't believe in Gothika. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite aughts horror flick? That very aggressive, specific era of horror movie making at the time. And make sure to follow or subscribe or listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding and ever evolving. With so many great shows, all different types of interests, especially if you love movies, there's plenty of that. And if you want to be a guest on one of these shows, like this show specifically, or if you have an idea for a podcast and you want to have a place to start, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.